everybody to Learning with Belvista Studios. Today I got Ricardo on the show.
Hello.
I'm excited to chat to Ricardo because you're playing in a space that we resonate with ourselves. We don't do it, but we've worked on kind of mental health initiatives and stuff for our clients. But I guess what you have this, I'll get website app type thing, and just to quote what's on the website, you basically measure emotional states of stress, anxiety, and depression. And I think so many of our clients would really resonate with what the hell that is and what it can do. And what I wanted to talk to you about is kind of how you got to where you are, because I think we could learn, it's such an important topic. There are many consequences if you get it wrong, many consequences if you get it right. So I kind of want to understand the process of how you got to where you are to help people like me and people like my clients and that create better solutions, because I think you've identified very clearly what the problem is and aligned your solution to that. So I guess the start question is, what was the problem you were trying to solve with MindCheck? How did you know it existed?
Good question. I have a personal history with anxiety myself. So when I was finishing my business school back in Brazil, I went to a really good business school. I was like final year of the school. Was working full time in a management consulting company, a small one, but a boutique one. But I was kind of the right hand of the owner. Big project with big clients. And lots of things happening. And I had my first panic attack. I had an anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder at the time. And I had to stop everything, like 6 months of my life to stop everything so I could recuperate. Started doing more exercising and kind of taking care of my health at that time. So I was about 22 years old at the time. So throughout my career, I had maybe about 2 or 3 times that I had generalized anxiety disorders. The last time was a couple of years ago. I was part of this amazing startup on the e-learning space, head of people in culture there. And the company was going through so many things, and we've been helping the company grow from 15 to 250 employees in 4 years, growing exponentially, internationally, and so on. A lot of things to do, but I had a generalized anxiety disorder again. We went to the doctor, I went to a psychologist, and they gave me a test. And I saw, man, this test is very interesting. And I've done a grad like diploma in applied psychology, so I learned how to apply tests at university. And I just researched a little bit more about the test. And I figured out that the test was in public domain. They had like 50 years of research behind it, used by most doctors and psychologists in Australia. And I said, okay, let me put this test in an electronic version, because the doctor and the psychologist gave me in paper, and they didn't even calculate. And I learned you have to calculate the test because they have different scales, the cutoff points for anxiety and depression and so on. So I put it online, did the proper homework, and I put it online and kind of put my developer hat on, and then forgot about it. A few months down the track, I figured out that almost 5,000 people were using it every month. And I said, wow, there is a big issue out there with depression and anxiety. As head of people in culture, I did my research, and I found out that depression and anxiety is a huge problem in the world today. It is truly huge. I mean, if you check the statistics, about 1 in 5 people every year will have a problem with mental health condition. Being depression and anxiety, they're by far the most common. Also, like people die by suicide every 40 seconds in the world, which is ridiculous. People die every 40 seconds. And I also found out that depression is the major cause of disability in the world. So much that the World Health Organization put mental health as one of the big sustainable development goals for the world. So I found that the problem was huge. I started opening up. I mean, once you're head of a department, you have to be a leader. And I started opening up to my employees, to my colleagues about depression, about what I was going through. And a lot of people came to me and say, hey, I'm having a problem with depression or anxiety. I cannot cope. And I found out that, man, in every company, about 20 to 30% of people are going through depression and anxiety, but it's a hidden problem. And HR departments, they kind of know that it exists, but it's just like that, the disease that you don't want to look at because you think it's gonna be, I don't know, worse, or you don't know what to do with it. So I figured out I could create a kind of service around it and help organizations tackle it and deal with it properly. And then I left my job like in August last year to work full time at MindCheck. Took a time with myself, kind of to recuperate as well, and started to develop a little bit more on the individual services because we want to make it free and anonymous for everyone,
Yeah.
but also to work on the product for organizations to use internally, which is then a paid service. And we've created a few amazing features, and here we are, ready to launch them for organizations.
Wow. It's a great mission. And I know, speaking with the clients that we have in the HR space, they are looking at this kind of stuff. We're working on a few initiatives at the moment on mental health and, strategies to deal with stressful, challenging interactions in the moment, and then what are the implications of that over time. One thing that makes me curious is 5,000 people a month is a lot for something that you just kind of put online. Do you understand how people were finding that in the first place? If it wasn't something you weren't promoted, because what I'm curious is about that motivation of why an individual would want to seek this out for themselves, because I think there's a lot we could learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, I to make myself findable on the internet, I just created a Google Ads campaign, put a limit of like $2 a day initially, and put also a limit of, I don't know, just maximum 5 cents per click. I want to pay because I don't. It's my own money. I'm just putting out of my pocket just to help people out. I would at that time I wouldn't charge, and I will not charge anything for individuals. Want them to use for free and anonymously. And I don't know. There's so many people searching online for this. Like trying to understand what they have, and many people don't understand what they have yet. They think they are stressed. They think they are overwhelmed. To up to a point that they burn out. And a lot of people say burnout, but usually it's related to anxiety, and they just cannot identify it, and they don't know what to do about it and what is causing it. So that's why I created MindCheck for people to first identify what they have, and we later created, we launched in basically January, the second questionnaire, which is our own IP based on a lot of research we've done. With the contributing factors. So science, and my wife is a scientist, by the way, science has a lot of research in depression and anxiety and what causes it and what contributes to it. And what we did is basically kind of gather all these contributing factors that has science backing, has a lot of scientific backing for it, and create a questionnaire to identify those and just tell people, hey, if you're not sleeping well, for example, this contributes to anxiety and depression. If you're not exercising, this contributes. If you're having these specific issues at work, these have been proven to contribute to depression and anxiety. So you created the contributing factors questionnaire, which is the second questionnaire that you take. And that created an amazing feature for organizations to understand what internally is generating depression and anxiety in the workplace, and also for individuals to understand in their lifestyle and in the life events what is generating the depression and anxiety and what they can do about it.
It's interesting because we are working on a mental health initiative at the moment, and so this is why I want to know the answer to the question, because it's called a mental health initiative, basically. And then through our research, we figure out people don't Google mental health or how to be better mental health, like how to improve my mental health. We don't use that language.
No.
But the things that we do Google are things like, how do I sleep better? So I think that's a really important thing for people that are in HR, learning and development, that are trying to communicate their initiatives out to the world, is they need to think like, what is someone going to Google to help compel them and motivate them to care about what it is? Do you know what some of the main keywords were that you would have had your Google AdWords on that were being searched by people that it was showing up for?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people try to search for symptoms, like, or even just use common language. Am I stressed, or do I have burnout, or do I have depression? People feel sad sometimes and they think, oh, I'm too sad all the time. Do I have depression? So these are things that I just put yourself in that person's shoes, and you wouldn't use technical terms. You would use how you're feeling and try to find answers for it, what you're going through, and try to find answers for it.
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, that's how people find things.
I like that. And because I think if you're communicating what it is, MindCheck in this instance, or any initiative, if a poster says, you know, do you want to be better, have better mental health, people are just not seeing it. But if it's like, do you want to sleep better? Do you feel XYZ? They're going to be like, oh, actually I do. So you've already got them saying yes, and they're bought into whatever it is that the call to action is there.
Exactly. And also the expression mental health carries a negative connotation with it, especially because of all these Hollywood movies. If you've seen the Joker, you say, hey, he's got mental health problems or whatever. Like, mental health is something bad for you to have a problem with it. But people don't realize that mental health can be a lot of different things. It's just a catch, like health. You can have, I don't know, cancer, and you can have a cold, or, you know, so it's just a catch-all term. And people, especially with mental health, because of the stigma around, I don't know, psychopaths or whatever, you say, yeah, he's got a mental health problem, so I'll be far from him, he can kill me. It's not like that at all. That's all that stigma that is wrong. And a lot of people have mental health problems, but they don't want to classify as that.
How did you so you talk about the second survey.
Yes.
How did you identify the questions? What was the process to go, these are the ones that we should be asking to help the individual that undertakes the quiz?
So first came the idea of creating a questionnaire for it. I guess, I mean, once you're going through these problems, once you're creating a system for it, you have to do a lot of research. So I went through, read a lot of books about depression, anxiety, just done a lot of reading on academic papers. I really like to go to the actual source, academic papers from good sources. And there were a few books that identified a few contributing causes. There one specifically called Lost Connections from Johan Hari. There's a really good one. He cites, I think, 9 causes for depression and anxiety. And I said, man, this guy is really into something. And he cited a lot of sources as well. So I checked many of his sources. I did my own research, and I created my own 12 contributing factors of it, based on the actual papers I found and proper backing. And that's it. And I think by reading new stuff and by doing your research, you start getting these ideas. And because I've done so many internal climate and culture survey as a HR professional as well during my life, I've done some applied psychology as a grad diploma there, and I knew how to kind of create tests like that, not in a highly super professional like researcher way, but in a good practical manner. So yeah, that kind of made me create the test.
That's cool. If I think about from an organization's perspective, and I think a lot of them are starting to appreciate that they need to care about this stuff for their employees. But I think sometimes, I don't know, I'm making actually a massive assumption here, so please check me on it. But I would assume that it could be seen as not contributing to business results, profit, revenue, and therefore it doesn't have a place as part of the strategic objectives of an organization. Do you have any kind of specific things that a HR manager could help say or help them to influence and value this as part of the strategic direction, help them communicate the link that employees and doing this sort of stuff for their employees will help on the bigger scheme of what an organization exists to do?
Yeah. Now, what you said is very true. It's just like health and public health debate, just general health. I mean, prevention is a lot less valued than like treatment, which is ridiculous because every dollar you spend in public health initiatives, they generate a lot more health in the global population than a dollar spent on emergency service, for example, although it is still very important.
Yeah.
In the mental health, it's the same thing. You will not see direct revenue or cost cuts from it, but the results are huge. But it's hard to calculate as well because if you prevent mental health problems, how would you know how many dollars have you saved? Because it didn't happen. The problem didn't happen because you prevented it.
Yeah.
so, so there are a few studies. I mean, Deloitte has a paper on it. I think they showed that for every dollar spent on mental health initiatives, the organization saves $4 down the track. Like it's a 400% ROI, return on investment. There's a few studies as well that show productivity gains for dollars spent on mental health problems as well. I think goes for about, I don't know, maybe a few $1,000s per employee if you like per month, or I don't remember exactly the study. But there are a few studies that we can use. I was actually gathering those. I need to create some material to send to our potential clients around this, and I'll do it. But there are not that many because it's super hard to quantify. You have just from the top of my mind, once you implement mental health initiatives, where you save would be obviously absent days, like sick days. And a lot of people take sick days saying that they have a fever or stomachache, but they also use it for mental health because they don't want to say it's like depression, anxiety, or they don't even know what they're going through. Also, what they call presenteeism, which is being on the job but not being able to do your job properly because you don't have your head in the right space or because you are sick somehow. So the presenteeism cost is huge. Some studies show that about up to $50,000 per employee per year are lost in presenteeism on average, which is crazy. Then there is also cost with turnover, like hiring employees, because people who go through this, usually depression, anxiety, they either cannot handle it and they quit their jobs, or the supervisor don't understand the situation and they think they are not productive and fires them instead of helping them out go through it. And because these are treatable conditions, that's what is great. These are treatable conditions. So, and the cost of turnover can run, the total cost of turnover can run from about 50 or 60% of an employee's annual salary to up to 200%. If you think about not only direct turnover costs such as headhunters, job ads, but also the training you have to do with the employees, the productivity cost of the ramping period that usually goes for up to 6 months, like the opportunity cost of having someone who are fully trained there, you get much more productivity out of it. So the turnover cost can be huge as well. And all these other costs, presenteeism can be big. So these are all costs of mental health problems or untreated mental health problems.
Yeah. And I think even just they're great prompts for people, HR managers, L&D people, well-being, the health and safety teams to just Google, because you'll easily be able to find the stats to start communicating. Look, if our recruitment team needs to bring down costs, HR, all that, like the stuff is there, the data is there to be able to reinforce and see the value of what it can bring. What would you say to open conversations for supervisors or team leaders, whatever? What are some specific things people can say to their team members? Because for me, what I understand from training initiatives we've created is you notice a change in behavior and you should check in with the individual at the core of the skill.
Yeah.
What are some things people can say to check in with their staff members and open the conversation? Because I think what you talked about, the stigma, and we feel nervous, and I'm not qualified to have these kinds of conversations, and I'm nervous, and I'm not even stable myself, might be something that goes through people's heads.
Yeah.
Any tips for them?
Yeah, of course. It is. I mean, I think the most important, what they call the most important currency of leadership is trust.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, you should be building trust 24/7 with your employees. You should, I think, having that space to open up with employees is extremely important. I, as a leader, and I've taught leadership as well within the companies that I manage, uh, I always do weekly one-on-ones with my staff. And we treat not only operational issues, but also personal issues as well. We talk friendly, we talk as friends as well as leaders. And you have to create that trust and create that environment, that culture in which people will be feel comfortable, say, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed. I can't handle it. People will not say anything to you if you don't feel trust in you. And if you don't create that environment of trust as a leadership. So I guess the first step is to create trust. Also, it goes for HR as well, to create the channel that anyone can talk with them, and they are not there just to fire and hire people. They're there to help people out and to create that trust. HR needs to open up and create more trust with the employees as well, not being the executioners of firing everyone, but people who they can be trusted, that people can open up to. Um, so yeah, I guess the creation of trust is the most important thing.
Mm.
And it's not one word; it's basically a practice that goes every day.
Yeah, it is that you care.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Show that you care. Show that you are human as well. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I think in our initiative, I can't remember, it was actually on how to open conversations like this. But one of the things we said was, hey, Ricardo, I've noticed, so you state the specific behavior.
Hmm.
Can you tell me what's going on, or something along those lines?
Yeah.
So that you have something factual. It's the change in behavior is the fact that you're observing.
Yeah.
So you're not going, I've noticed that you're I don't know, the emotion that can come into it. So you're not stating some story that you've built yourself. You're sticking to the fact, and then allowing with an open-ended question to be able to help them disclose if if the trust is there, of course.
Yeah, I guess what I said is exactly right. I mean, if there is not enough level of trust, the person, if you say that, they will get defensive. Say, I'm not, but I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. So they will just kind of go into the defensive mode. Once you build enough trust, I guess, just saying, hey, mate, I noticed that you've been showing a few things that are not usual to you. You're saying that that's something that is not usual. That is not, that's something that very specific to this moment. So you're not judging the person, but maybe just the current situation or the current something that is not them. It's the situation, or is maybe something they are going through. And just opening up, say, if you are you overwhelmed, or are you feeling that you need some help or some assistance somehow. And if the trust is there, a person you will usually open up. Yeah.
One of the things I can probably anticipate people are saying that are listening or watching this is the challenges, right? If you're a HR manager, I don't have time for this. I'm busy. What would you say to them if you're like, cut the crap, this shit is important?
Yeah. I guess, I mean, I don't think, at least I don't know a good HR person say, I'm too busy to take care of my people. They shouldn't be saying that. And I don't think most of the people I know wouldn't say that as well.
Yeah, I don't think they want to be there, but conflicting priorities means that maybe it's not the number one priority. I know they do care.
Maybe it happens because of internal pressures, other leadership pressures that they need to do this. They have like close targets, deadlines, and so on. They would not have a lot of time for it. I guess yeah, just check statistics and just try to have this conversation with the other leaders in the organization and show them that this should be priority
Yeah.
because it is affecting the bottom line in a huge way. It's a hidden way, and it actually affects the lives of people. And I've seen. I was talking another day. I was hearing the chief entrepreneur of Queensland, Leanne, and she told us that she had a suicide in her company, I think, a few months ago, and that basically took everyone by surprise. And this can happen in any company because the problem is so prevalent. It's affecting so many people that eventually, if this is not taken care of, people will have suicides happening. Like I don't know, eventually in the company, and this it's like and I notice a lot of people when I show MindCheck to a few people, they say, "Hey, what man, this is awesome, but I don't know, maybe I'm afraid of implementing it. Afraid of seeing the problem because I wouldn't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to proceed." Although we do give obviously lots of solutions or tips for HR departments there. But I say to people, hey, if you have cancer, the earliest that you get, the earliest that you understand it and start treatment, the better. You wouldn't let it spread or go to a place where you cannot come back from.
Mhm.
So I guess with mental health is like that. You need to look at it, need to understand it, and you really need to start doing something about it. Yeah, unless something will happen eventually. And they are losing a lot of people for turnover or for productivity or for absenteeism or presenteeism. They are losing a lot of productivity for it. There was even there's a news article from a newspaper, I think in the US, putting the costs for depression and anxiety in productivity alone is $1 trillion per year today, and it's expected to grow to $16 trillion per year in the world. Just productivity in the workplace due to depression and anxiety. So it's huge, and it should be priority. It's for me. I have no question about it.
Mm. Have you seen any initiatives around the world or stories where they have taken it seriously and gotten results?
That's a good question. Not from the top of my mind. I mean, people, the stigma is still huge, and we are just starting with MindCheck as well. We have a few people using it, and they're starting to work. Oh yeah, I have had a person, a kind of one of my coaches. I have a coach in Brazil. He's a psychologist and also a coach. He had a big project with Vale, which is one of the biggest mining companies in the world. After the dam in Brazil destroyed the whole city, there was a problem with the dam, destroyed the whole city. Thousands of people died. And they did a mental health program with the families and the employees that survived. And many of them had depression and anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. And they measure before and after. And with the measurement and also with the programs that were tailored for the measurement, they saw a huge improvement in mental health in people. So they saw objective measurement improvement from them. I guess that is kind of, you see in the mental health measure, and that was a disaster case. It wasn't like a normal operational case. But yeah, I don't have anything else from the top of my mind yet. Because
Well, I
most
think
people are
that's
not treating it. Yeah, they're not addressing it. That's how it's hard to find.
yeah. I think that's an incredible example, because to be able to see a measurable difference between something where it's livelihood, it's survival, you're dealing with death and loss, to have, for me, I would think that's one of the hardest things you can ever overcome, if you can not overcome but work through, I guess.
Yeah.
But to see a difference there, imagine if we just applied the same principles that you've got through MindCheck to this smaller, less like more relative things that are occurring for people in the workplace. And I understand, and I hope I'm not getting my language wrong, like I understand there's life or death with individuals, but when you think about something of that like mass community all suffering together and they're able to get a measurable change, and then if you think about how much, if you can get people through that kind of stuff, what you could do to each individual within the teams in your organizations, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very important.
Anything else you want to share? I feel like it's a great initiative, and I think it will have many benefits, and you guys can check out the link in the description to go check out MindCheck and what Ricardo's up to. But anything else you want to share on it or communicate and build awareness around?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm just doing some advertising here, but basically, yeah, go check out MindCheck. We have a couple of products. For the one for individual is free. Anyone can just jump in there, take the test anonymously, understand the mental health, understand the contributing factors and what to do about those. The one for organizations, because of this coronavirus situation, we are putting a $400 voucher for people to use it. So basically, the first campaign will be free for up to 100 people, or 2 campaigns for up to 50 people will be free for everyone who signs up. We want people. We're trying to help as much as we can in the coronavirus situation there. Also, we have created a spin-off as well, because we have a testing system already in place called MindCheck as well. It's worth having a look, especially for organizations that need to operate face-to-face during the pandemic, like essential organizations such as hospitals, pharmacies, supermarkets, and so on. That test people for symptoms of the coronavirus every X number of days to see if they can work or not. And for MindCheck, we have a partnership with Dr. Christy Short from the UQ, University of Queensland, and a part of our revenue will go to her research. She's one of the leading researchers in the coronavirus vaccine and coronavirus treatment. So most of our revenue, a good part of our revenue, not most, but a good part of our revenue will go to her research on the coronavirus treatments and vaccine there as well. I think, I don't know, if you have some time, I can show you a few screens of the MindCheck. Yeah.
You should be able to screen share.
Let me share my screen here. Let me just show if there is everything here. There you go.
Yep, it's loading now. There we go.
All right, so this is MindCheck. You just go to mindcheck.me. I'm running a test version, so I can just change things here.
Yep.
You see here the voucher that we're giving people for coronavirus. For individuals, you just click here, take the test. The first test will give you your 3 levels of depression, anxiety, and stress,
yep.
And exactly what it means, and so on. Then you go here, click this button, you take the second test, and you get something like this, explaining all the contributing factors for depression, anxiety that has scientific background.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in a scale, low, medium, high, in terms of how is the probability of this contributing factor be affecting your condition, and what to do about it, and understanding how they affect, what to do about it. And if you have a science mind, you can click here and check a few of the papers that we've used.
Yeah, cool.
That is for individuals. For organizations, very easy. You can sign up here. The sign up is free. Once you sign up, you go and create a campaign, which is basically a group of people that you send the survey to. We'll create a campaign. You click here, you load the number of a few people in the campaign. Once you load, you click launch campaign. And once you have 10 or more people who completed it, that's for making sure the results are anonymous for the organization. I mean, we will not share individual results.
Yeah.
Privacy is extremely important for this field, and we ensure privacy. So no individual results will be identifiable for the organization, but they'll be able to see the state of mental health in the organization. They'll get just loading here. They'll get a mental health KPI This means
Mm-hmm.
that how many of their people are mentally healthy in terms
Yeah.
of depression and anxiety, and how many people have either moderate, severe, or higher in each one of those conditions as well. You can check here for depression, for anxiety, and for stress. But the coolest thing is the next report, which is the contributing factors report. This here takes a few seconds to load, but this here basically will show organizations what contributing factor is
Wow.
affecting their employees. In this case, 90% of the employees who took the survey uh, are being affected by loss of hope or insecure future. These are sample numbers, by the way. They're not real. 66% are being affected by lack of exercise of sleep. And if you want to get a little bit more information, click here. You see how many people are being affected in this campaign. You see how it helps, how it kind of affects it. Check the science as well. Details, you can check the breakdown. In this case, these contributing factors has lack of
Mm-hmm.
exercise and lack of sleep. So how many people are being affected by this? And most important, what to do about it.
Wow. Yeah.
With just tips. These tips are for HR and for leadership to implement. And you have tips for every contributing factors here on what to do about it so they can improve the mental health, especially around depression, anxiety, and stress in the organization there.
That's
So
cool.
that's it about MindCheck, MindCheck for individuals and MindCheck for organizations. For sick check, it's very easy as well. You can take a test yourself for checking for symptoms
Yep.
and see if you could see other people or not. And if you have an organization, you also load a list of employees here. You set how many days you want your employees to check for symptoms here.
Yep.
And employees will receive an email every X number of days, and they take the test, and you see how many of them have high risk of having the disease, how
Yep.
many have low risk, and who you should simply ask not to come to work, obviously, to contaminate other employees or your customers and so on.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple system, but it's very effective, I think, for helping the coronavirus situation.
Yeah.
And that's it, MindCheck and SickCheck, helping HR deal with this situation, basically, that is affecting everyone there.
It's really cool because I have to say, like, it's very intuitive. And sometimes I think you can get turned off by systems or whatever you want to call this, like a program or I can't remember, brain dead, but it doesn't look scary to use. There's not all these buttons everywhere. It's kind of just like start the campaign, launch it, go, get the result. So it's very intuitive, which I think is nice.
We created a system to be very straightforward, very direct.
Yeah.
It does this thing very well, and it's just one path, basically.
Yeah, I like it. One bar.
One path. Yeah.
What if HR leaders could implement one thing, because you had this is what you should do about depression, like some tips that they can implement, which I think is really cool. If they could do one thing only in their organization, but to have a maximum impact, what would that recommendation be from you?
I'll be I'll be a little bit partial here, but it would be to implement MindCheck. I think MindCheck. The good thing about MindCheck is it works both in the individual level and the HR level.
Mm-hmm.
If you have all your people taking these tests and understanding their individual situation and understanding the individual contributing factors and individually working on each one of those on the things that are high for each person, which is different. I mean, the causes for mental health problems is very different person to person.
Yeah.
A few people might have depression because they had a trauma when they were a child or sometime in their life. So they should seek a psychologist. They should seek someone to work with that. Or a person might have some problems with work, someone bullying them in the workplace and not sleeping properly or something like that. So these are very different contributing factors, very different causes. So I guess what MindCheck is different, how it is different from others, is that we let the individuals sort it out by themselves, exactly what is happening with them, and give them awareness and indication of what they should do about it.
Yeah.
So the individuals will take care for themselves in a private manner for that, and the HR will understand what is affecting most people, so they can take initiatives that are applicable to the contributing factor, not, which is different companies to company. So, so I guess that will be the first step. But obviously, there are a few other things that HR can do. I think training leadership, it's a big one, to create that level of trust with employees, running one-on-ones periodically, creating that intimacy between leader and employee in terms of work, and generating, creating more empathy and intimacy with the employees. Leadership training, implementing like situational leadership to make sure people, leaders are treating each employee according to their levels in each situation. So there's a lot of things to help there. But I really truly believe the MindCheck will help a lot.
Yeah. I think you're right in terms of the awareness, like that awareness for an individual to uncover what might be going on for them and to get some strategies that they can implement themselves is great. So I think that's really cool. Well, I think, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. It's really cool. I think I believe in the impact of this stuff and the importance of it in general in life and for organizations in terms of prioritizing it. I guess if you are a HR manager or a leader out there listening to this, just go have a look at like Ricardo's given you stats and stuff, but you can go see it. Go Google what's happening out there. When you build your awareness around it, you'll start to go and make the links between your initiatives that you're already running and where you should start to be prioritizing things within your organization.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. And just don't stop in general awareness campaign. I think most HR people, they stop at general awareness campaign, which is important. Like the Are You OK days are very important. General awareness campaign, resources, like most people just put a page with resources, what to do. Some people put an employee assistance program there, which is kind of passive, so people can go there and use it if they feel like it. These are important, but they are not enough by far. I think if you create something like MindCheck for people to actively understand where they are and break the barrier of seeking help, because a lot of people have the barrier of seeking help, but if they go through a MindCheck test, understand the levels of depression and anxiety, they understand the contributing factors, these will break barriers for people to seek help. And hopefully people will seek help and treat those conditions and get better. So that's the whole idea around MindCheck.
Amazing. Ricardo, thank you very, very much. Thank you everyone that has listened or watched this. If it's added value, and I know it has because it's inspired me, please share it with someone that will get value from it as well, so that we can start building the awareness to start with, but building campaigns and strategies to help people too.
Excellent.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken.